In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why fear is holding you back from really finally healing and living a more peaceful, more liberated and purposeful driven life. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina and I help empower people on their spiritual journey and guide them through their ascension and healing process. And before I dive straight into the video, I just want to let you all know that on the 16th of June, I will be running an inner child healing workshop. And in this workshop, we're going to be diving into who the inner child is, how to reconnect to your inner child, what practices you can do to remother your inner child and discover your own inner mother's voice, because we all have that voice. This will be a safe container where you're able to open up, be vulnerable, so then you can finally release and begin to feel at peace with your inner child wounds. So if you feel called to joining us on the 16th of June, click the link in the pinned comments below, and guess what? It's donation based. Just pay what you can afford, because I know that times are hard in the world right now and we all need that healing that we deserve. So let's get straight on to the video. So fear is the heaviest, densest feeling, emotion that we can experience. And in this current 3D reality matrix, there is so much fear surrounding us. We are programmed with fear, and fear is a survival mechanism. It can be a very helpful tool when we are overcome with fear, when our ego identifies with a future scenario that creates anxiety and fear. What it is doing is trying to keep us safe and in the known, feel comfortable. So I never say we need to get rid of the ego. The ego is not our friend, but it's also not our enemy. It's just kind of helpful and sometimes not very helpful. And so it serves its purpose. So when we have fear, it means that we are blocking ourselves from experiencing a scenario, experiencing something that can make us feel unsafe. And this is rooted in our primal instincts, because when we go into flight, freeze or fawn, it's kind of a response to that deep fear. And usually that meant, when we lived in tribes, that we were running away from that saber-toothed tiger, that dangerous situation. So that's when we need that flight, fight or freeze situation to escape that dangerous zone. So this is why fear is always trying to save us, because we don't want to die. And when it comes to fear and your healing journey, and why fear is blocking you, is because the fear of feeling vulnerable. And the fear of vulnerability is again rooted in that flight or fight response or freeze, because vulnerability feels dangerous. It feels unsafe, because if we're vulnerable, then God knows what could happen. We fear some ultimate story, scenario is going to play out. And often it feels like, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Because that's what the ego will tell you, and your nervous system will. Because we've got to remember, when on our healing journeys, it's mind, body and soul. We cannot just think our way out of things, think our way into healing. We've got to do it in the body as well. So it's not just about transcending the ego and I'll be egoless and I'll be healed because I won't get triggered. We've got to be grounded in that and heal that from the body and move that energy, the trauma from the body. So this means our bodies will always be telling us if there's a danger as well as our mind. And so when we fear healing, it's because we don't want to feel that wounding, because it feels painful, it feels unsafe, it feels uncertain, and we can't predict how our healing journeys are going to play out. We push away the emotion because we fear the feeling, because it feels vulnerable, it feels unsafe, because it hurts so goddamn much. And I have been there personally. I refused to go and see my own dad because the pain of just being in his presence was way too much for me to handle. And when he passed away, I felt a huge relief that I wouldn't have to experience the weight of that on my shoulders, this feeling of vulnerability, the feeling of I need to go and see him, but it hurts way too much. And whew, when he died, I don't have to feel that anymore. I had no responsibility over him, over myself to go and see him. And that was just me bypassing it, shoving it away, because it felt so unsafe in my nervous system and my ego identifying with a future story for me to go see him, heal that masculine wounding, that father wound within me. But now I have been able to do more inner work and be vulnerable with my own partner, sit in meditation with the divine masculine, accept the divine masculine into my life, accepting the Father Sky and Yeshua, the divine masculine, into my life. And that's helped to bring the union between the masculine and the feminine within me in my healing journey. That is the spiritual aspect of my masculine wounding, my healing. So when we are fearing an emotion, we are blocking ourselves from fully feeling it in order to heal it. And just remember that you can give yourself permission at any moment to feel that emotion and be vulnerable. And being vulnerable isn't about crying on social media, sharing something on social media. Being vulnerable is sharing an emotional, extremely unsafe feeling that feels unsafe with you, with somebody else, somebody you care about, your partner, your family members, or a friend that you feel safe enough to express that. And if you crave safety and in a safe space, somebody holding space with you, I'm going to be doing that exact thing in our inner child healing workshop. We'll be doing meditation to create safety. And so then we are able to open up, be vulnerable in order for our inner child to come through and feel loved again. And often part of this fear is letting go of those past identities, that past pain, because what our ego has done has identified with a story from your experience as a child and formed that sense of self and says, this is who I am, based on all those childhood experiences, whether it was big T trauma, whether it was little T trauma. I don't like to use the T word all too much. I just like to use the term inner child wounding because I think it feels more safe to use that term for people. And so our egos just identify with this past emotional pain. So we fear the letting go of that because, well, that's who I am. And we hold onto identities so hard and we fear what could happen. Who am I if I let go of this story? How do I reframe the story? I don't know who I am now if I let go of this. And that is just an illusion the ego will play to stop you from healing, from letting go. Because what the ego will do is so desperately try to hold on to these identities, these stories and beliefs. and keep these stories rooted in your identity and your subconscious and form all this personality and all these limiting beliefs based on all your life experiences. And when you begin to do that inner work, the ego just dissolves, but then it will try to kick up a fuss when it begins to get smaller and shrink, when you shine the light of awareness onto your ego, onto your fears, your limiting beliefs. It will start to say, no, you ain't healing. You ain't going there. You have emotional past pain. Hold on to that. So fear will always block you from becoming that healed version of yourself. And when we allow ourselves, give ourselves permission to feel those vulnerable emotions and let go of the past pain, then it is liberating, it is freeing, and we can come from a place of absolute neutrality because we don't fear the story, we don't fear the emotional vulnerability because we've been able to feel it and be vulnerable. And when we've reframed that story, it has no power over us. We can change a story at any moment. So the only thing that is stopping you from finally healing is yourself. The fear that's in your head of feeling like, I'm gonna die, oh my God, this feels unsafe, is a total illusion made up by the mind. Then that can be felt in the body, because when you think about a scary thought, you can feel that in your body. Let me know in the comments below if this video has been very helpful for you, and don't forget to do all those wonderful things like subscribe and like, because it's my mission to share my message as across to many people as possible and help you on your spiritual and healing journey, and know that you are worthy just as you are, and it is your birthright. So with that all being said, I will see you on the next video. Much love.